Welcome to our Sunday evening program here. Those of you on the internet, I think most are on the internet. Unfortunately, we're still in lockdown. Only Krista knows how long this is going to last. Hopefully not much longer. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radhaman Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radhaman Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari Gopi Janna Vallabha Girivana Dari Jasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jasodanandana Vrajajana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vanachari Tira Jamuna Tira Vanachari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Jayam Vishnu Paramahamsa Prabhupada Astatara Shishimad, His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Gaura Vaishnavani Ki Jai, Namacharya, Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai. ISKCON Founder Acharya, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Prem Sri Gaur Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gadadhar, Sivasadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Radha Krishna Gopya Samakun Varakun Giri Govardhan Ki Jai, Shri Vrindavan Ki Jai, Shri Maya Purnavidam Ki Jai, Gangamaya Ki Jai, Jamunamaya Ki Jai, Tulsi Devi Ki Jai, Bhakti Devi Ki Jai, Samaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai, Transcendental Book Distribution Ki Jai, Harinam Sankirtan Ki Jai, Go Premanandi. All glorious some devotees, all glorious some devotees, all glorious some devotees, all glorious Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Hare Krishna. So we're going to read from the famous Bhagavad Gita, as it is, spoken by none other than Lord Krishna himself. Sometimes people think that God can't speak. He doesn't eat, he doesn't walk. Some energy. Different definitions of God. Some people think God is love. But love it's an emotion. I mean, it's a nice emotion, but God is more than just an emotion. He's a person. The Supreme Person, and He speaks. And when He speaks, people benefit from hearing His words for thousands of years. This is spoken, Bhagavad Gita was spoken 5,000 years ago. And to this day, it's studied in universities all over the world. Translated into practically all the languages of the world. So, we're very fortunate we get to hear the words of Krishna. And there was one instance where a devotee, a congregation member, he asked Prabhupada that why am I so unfortunate that I couldn't personally hear Krishna speaking? And Prabhupada said, no. If you're reading Bhagavad Gita, then it's just like Krishna is right there speaking to you, just like Arjuna. Because these are the words of Krishna. It's non-different. So we're going to read from the second chapter, which pretty much this is the beginning of the Bhagavad Gita, the second chapter. The first chapter is kind of like an introduction to the Bhagavad Gita. And this is text number 41, a very important verse which Srila Prabhupada, he referred to many times in his preaching. Vyavasayatmika buddhir ekeha kurunandana bahushaka hinantascha buddhayo vyavasayanam. Krishna says, those who are on this path. What is this path that he's speaking about? The path of bhakti. It's called the path of the bhakti marg, the path of love. So those who are on this path are resolute in purpose, and their aim is one. O beloved child of the Kurus, the intelligence of those who are irresolute is many-branched. And now we'll hear the commentary of Srila Prabhupada. Gradually we'll go through this purport. So Prabhupada says, a strong faith by Krishna consciousness, a strong faith that by Krishna consciousness one will be elevated to the highest perfection of life is called Vyavasayamika, intelligence. The Chaitanya Charitamrita states, Shraddha Shabda Vishvasha Kahi Sudrida Nishchoy Krishna Bhakti Koili Sarva Karma Kritahoy. So Shraddha, there's different types of Shraddha. Just like it's stated, Adao Shraddha Tata Sadhu Sangata Bhajanakriya Taton Artha Nivrittisha Taton Nishta Ruchistataha. That there's preliminary faith. Just like people hear about the Hare Krishnas distributing free food. Just like in India, we distribute millions of plates of food to people in India, students, schools and stuff. So we got a very good reputation. People have a lot of faith in us. And people hear our philosophy. We have a nice philosophy. People get preliminary faith just by hearing. Sometimes they just hear one sentence and they're like, oh, very nice. And so they get some faith. In Miami, the devotees called up 100 people, random, in the city of Miami, to find out what they liked the most about the Hare Krishna movement. It's a survey. They didn't say they were Hare Krishnas, just a survey. What do you like about the Hare Krishnas? And what do you think they liked the most about the Hare Krishnas? That they would go out and they would sing and dance. We're the only people in the world that go out to the public and sing and dance. So people like that. Nobody else does it. Who goes out to the public? Maybe some drunkard, he'll be trying to sing something. But we're the only group of people that go out systematically organized, chanting the names of God, singing and dancing. So people like that. People get faith. They get some preliminary faith just by seeing that. And there was one lady, remember she told me, I was on a Harinam out in the city, I think it was in Germany, and we were doing Harinam, many devotees. And she came up to me and she said, I travel around the world and I see you people everywhere. You're the happiest people in the world. Because not only are we chanting and dancing, we're happy. We're smiling and happy. So, it's very nice. Of course, now we have this lockdown, so we're a little restricted now because of this. But people get this faith because of this. Preliminary faith. Adao Shraddha Tata Sadhu. And from faith, from this preliminary faith in the devotees or in Krishna, then one wants to associate. Just like I read the Bhagavad Gita 42 years ago. I was just amazed. I just loved it. I read it in like 6 days. It was so nice. Couldn't put it down. So I got a lot of faith that this is truth. Not only is it truth, it's the absolute truth. I was convinced. So now I wanted to meet the people who believe this. So then, after a short time, I met the devotees. So by getting this faith, then you want to meet, you want to get the association of people that follow these teachings. Yeah. So I went to the temple there in Miami, and I was very impressed with the devotees there. And that increased my faith, being amongst the devotees. So adao shuddha tata sadhu. So Prabhupada actually said that he came to the West to create a society of devotees, so that people can come and associate with devotees. And by this association with the devotees, one gets purified. Yeah. So it's very, Prabhupada's such a great sadhu, such a great devotee. He created association. He came to America. There was no devotees. There were some Hindus, but not real strict devotees of Krishna. But he was a real strict devotee. So he came and he made devotees. He made devotees out of hippies. Some of them were drunkards and drug addicts, and he changed their heart. It was a revolution in the hearts. By his association, they had a revolution, a change of heart. And they gave up all their drugs, and they gave up all their alcohol, and they gave up all the nonsense, and they gave themselves to Krishna. This is the power of association. Yeah. So adao shuddha tata sadhu sangata bhajanakriya. And if you associate with devotees, then what happens is you get introduced. You get introduced to what devotees do all day long. Tulsi. So, what devotees do all day long is bhajana kriya, which means devotional service. I remember I was in Miami, and I was chanting japa in front of the deities. And one devotee came to me. There was me chanting, and there was another devotee chanting in front of the deities. So another devotee came to me and he said, Prabhu, we need some help doing some service. I said, yeah, sure, okay. So the other devotee that was chanting in front of the deities, he said, you must be chanting better japa than me, because that devotee went to you to ask to do some service instead of me. So I said, oh, okay. So that's how it works. We're praying, when we chant the Hare Krishna mantra, we're praying for service, right? And the perfection of life is to engage in pure devotional service. Not easy, because devotional service, pure devotional service, has no material motivation. Generally, we always have some motivation. We're doing something to get something in return. Right? We want something in return. This is a world where people are more or less selfish. So this process of Krishna consciousness is meant to help us become selfless, where we just want to please Krishna. And therefore it's stated, Anyabhilasita sunyam, jnana karmadhyanavartam, anukuyena krishnanu, siyalam bhakti. It's okay. Pure devotional service is free of the desire to enjoy the fruits of one's activities, and free of all mental speculation. So this is devotional service. And generally we want something. We want to try to enjoy. We want to enjoy this world. We want to enjoy the fruits. But actually, the highest pleasure is internal pleasure, and that's service to Krishna. That's the highest pleasure. And therefore Krishna says, one whose happiness is within, who is active and rejoices within, whose aim is inward, he's attained the highest goal of life. This is the real happiness, is in service to Krishna. This is internal happiness. So many people out there trying to enjoy, external things, And just like the animals, they want to enjoy eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. Ahara nidra by maitanam cha samanyameta pashabhisma. That the Prabhupada said that the human beings were walking down the street, two legs, and the dog, the human beings, they're driving down the street with their car, four wheels, and the dog is running down the street with their four paws. But the mentality is the same. Eating, sleeping, mating, and defending. But the human being is actually meant to inquire. Atato Brahma Jigyasa. That means one is meant to inquire about what is the truth. Why am I here? What's going to happen at the time of death? These are the important questions. But what are people asking all over the world? Where is money? Money is the honey. Yeah? More and more money, right? Money is the honey. And sense gratification. But many of these millionaires and billionaires, you look at their life, they're not happy. Maybe some. But money doesn't bring happiness. I was speaking to one person who was wealthy. He said, people think that money will bring happiness. He said, but I know these people. I know these wealthy people. They know money doesn't bring happiness. I know it doesn't bring happiness. But the people that aren't wealthy, they're all thinking, oh, it will bring me happiness. But then when they actually get it, doesn't bring happiness. So happiness comes from serving. Atmendriya priti vanchapali darikam, krishnendriya priti ichadara premanam. That love means to satisfy the senses of Krishna. He has senses, like we have senses. He eats, we eat. So if we satisfy his senses, and he's got a mind, he has likes and dislikes. If we satisfy his senses, we become happy. This is real love, actually. But if we just try to satisfy the senses, this is lust. If we just try to satisfy our senses, that's not love. That's lust. So we're trying to transform this lust into love. Not easy, but possible. It's here, actually, this love for Krishna. It's there in the heart of all of us. Nitya Siddha, Krishna Prema, Sadhya Kabanoi, Shravanadi Sudachitte, Korya Udoya. That this love for Krishna, this love for the Supreme Personality, it's eternally situated in the hearts of all living entities. And it is aroused, it comes up by hearing and chanting about Krishna. Then we reawaken this love for Krishna. So therefore hearing is so important. Therefore Krishna comes and he gives the Bhagavad Gita so we can hear the truth. And just by hearing the truth we get purified. And not only Bhagavad Gita, we got the Srimad Bhagavatam. You have the Srimad Bhagavatam? Yeah? Srimad Bhagavatam? You have the Srimad Bhagavatam? Yeah, very good. Yeah. You're all devotees. Very good. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the Amala Puranam. Amala Purana means the spotless Purana, just filled with the glories of Krishna. And Bhagavad Gita as well. And we're so fortunate that you could hear these books. You can read Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam thousands of times, and each time you read it, you get new insight. It doesn't get old. It's timeless wisdom. It doesn't get old. Isn't that nice? So many books you read in this world, you read it once, very rare does someone read it twice. Very rare, 3 times. But Bhagavad Gita, I could tell you personally, I've read it at least 40 times. My favorite book. I read it, then I start reading it again. Just start reading it again. It's so inspiring, purifying. So Adao Shodata Tasharu Sangata Bhajana Kriya Taton Artha Nivrittishat. So preliminary faith, then association, then devotional service. Now it gets difficult. Anartha Nivritti. Giving up bad habits. Now it gets tough. Because habit is second nature. To give up bad habits is not easy. But it's possible. We have to get good habits to replace the bad habits. Just like every day we have Mangalartik here. Now in the beginning, it's a little difficult. You got to get up at 4 o'clock. Many of the devotees that joined the temple, they used to go to sleep at 4 o'clock. Now they're asked to get up at 4 o'clock. So it's a little difficult. So, we can get positive habits. You get habituated to reading Prabhupada's books. If you read Prabhupada's books every day, just a half hour, just get in that habit of reading Prabhupada's books just a half hour or an hour, you'll see your consciousness will become so elevated. Because that's the result of reading the absolute truth. We become elevated, we become purified. This is the mercy of Krishna. So giving up bad habits, anartha vrittisat tato nishta. And then we get firm faith. See, there's preliminary faith, right? And then there's firm faith. You get so much faith in Krishna that nothing can sway you, can move you from Krishna. Firm faith. Tato nartha nivrittisat tato nishta ruchistataha. Ruchi means you get a taste. Then you have a taste for Krishna. A taste for thinking of Krishna, serving Krishna, associating with Krishna's devotees, taking prasadam, everything. If you get this taste, then, so auspicious. So we should pray to Krishna to get this taste, because if we have this taste for serving Krishna, then we won't be interested in anything in this world. Because you got the higher taste. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna, he says that the embodied soul may be restricted from sense gratification, though the taste for the sense objects is still there. But having gotten a higher taste, he gives up that lower taste. He gets that higher taste of service to Krishna, this pleasure of the soul. So continuing with this purport. Faith means unflinching trust in something sublime. One of the Jai Shri Shivada Giridhari. One of the characteristics of a loving relationship is trust. One of the most important aspects within a relationship is trust. So we were Actually, we were with Krishna in the spiritual world previously, long time ago. And somehow we saw Krishna as the center. And we thought, well, that'd be nice to be the center. But there's a problem there. There's only one center in the spiritual world. That's Krishna. Hare Krishna. So, and we left, therefore we had to leave. We came here and basically people are trying to be the center here. Shakespeare, in one of his stanzas, he says the whole world is a play and everybody is thinking that they're the main actor on the stage. I'm paraphrasing that. That's not, anybody know the exact stanza? No. So, but that's pretty much, everybody's trying to be the center, trying to be Krishna. So the trust was lost. Just like imagine there's two friends, very good friends, very close friends, best friends. One of them becomes very wealthy, okay, and the other one is average, just getting by. So the one that's just getting by, he steals a lot of money from his wealthy friend. And his wealthy friend finds out. So then, because the trust is lost, it's very difficult to to fix the relationship, because the trust has been lost. Yeah. So now we're trying to mend this relationship with Krishna. We left Krishna, now we're trying to enjoy his property. We're trying to be the proprietor and the enjoyer of his property. So now we're trying to change that. No, everything belongs to Krishna. He's the enjoyer, he's the proprietor, we're the servants. So we're trying to correct that illusion that we're the proprietors, we're the enjoyer. And Krishna will help us, of course. It's not easy, like to mend that relationship between these two friends. It's not easy, but it's possible. Krishna is very kind, he is very forgiving. And this is a very important quality of a devotee and of Krishna, forgiving. Now some of you might have the experience that someone has done something to you that hurt you. Anybody have that experience? Someone did something to you that hurt you? Sometimes even someone close to you? He's saying, yeah. So yeah, that's the material world. But a devotee is forgiving. And I'll tell you an interesting story of the highest extent of forgiving that I've ever heard of. This one lady, African American, she had a son, and another African American killed her son. And he went to jail. And when the trial came up, this lady went to the trial, and he was convicted, 20 years or something like that. So after he was convicted, she went up to him, and she said, "I'm going to kill you," and walked away. Now, when he went to prison, nobody would visit him, except for this lady, the mother of this boy that had been killed. So she would visit him, once a month or so. And then finally he got out early on good behavior. So she said to him, he's still in jail and they're talking in between bars, or bars are in between. So she said, "So what are you going to do?" He said, "I don't know. You could come and you can stay with me." So he got out of jail and he went and he stayed with this lady. And she told him, "Remember when I told you I'm going to kill you? What I meant was I'm going to kill the evil in you. Is that amazing? So he went and he stayed with her and he became a good person. I mean, that is the highest extent of forgiving that I've ever heard of. She forgave and forgot and forgot. To forgive and forget, that's very difficult. She forgave, she forgot. Not only that, she helped him become a good person. I mean, wow. That's a pretty amazing thing. So forgiving is very important. So Krishna, he's the highest extent of forgiving. Krishna is so kind that someone can become a big demon like Ravana or Hiranyakasipu or Hitler or Stalin. But Krishna's in the heart and he's patiently waiting for that soul to turn to him and again engage in devotional service. So this is Krishna. He doesn't take any offense. Yeah. He's not a jealous God. Some of you may have heard that. There's some religions that say that God, he's a jealous God. Yeah. Worship me and worship no others. Yeah. He's not a religious fanatic. Krishna. Yeah. A psychopath. Yeah. Then you have to have people worshiping me. You know. Yeah, Krishna is known as Atmaram. Atmaram means, anybody know? Yes, he's self-satisfied. He doesn't need anyone. You know, he's completely self-satisfied. Just like when Krishna was in Vrindavan and he played his flute late at night. The gopis heard the flute and they went running to Krishna late at night. There were thousands of them, beautiful, the most beautiful girls in all the creation. And Krishna said to them, "What are you doing here? It's late at night. Dangerous animals here. Go home. There's no place for you. Go home." So Krishna, one of his opulences, he's the most detached. He was telling him to go home. And the gopi said, "Krishna, only you can speak like this. Here we are, the most beautiful girls, and you're telling us to go home?" So one of Krishna's opulences, he's detached. Yeah. He's self-satisfied. He doesn't need anything. Yeah. So he doesn't need us to worship him, but it's for our good. It's for our good. We get purified by serving Krishna, by worshipping Krishna. So yeah, we want to build up that trust in Krishna. Krishna, I'm not going to do that again. I'm not going to make that mistake again. So we have to show Krishna, and Krishna will help us. And therefore he says, "Tesam sarak yuktanam bhajatam pritipurvakam dadami buddhi yogam tam yenamo yantite." He says, to those who are constantly devoted to me and worship me with love, I give them the intelligence by which they can come back to me. So this is Krishna's kindness. He's giving us this intelligence so that we can understand how to go back to him. So continuing this purport, when one is engaged in the duties of Krishna consciousness, he need not act in relationship to the material world with obligations to family traditions, humanity, or nationality. Fruitive activities are the engagements of one's reactions from past or good deeds. When one is awake in Krishna consciousness, he need no longer endeavor for good results in his activities. When one is situated in Krishna consciousness, all activities are on the absolute plane, for they are no longer subject to the dualities like good and bad. The highest perfection of Krishna consciousness is renunciation of the material conception of life. This state is automatically achieved by progressive Krishna consciousness. The result or the resolute purpose of a person in Krishna consciousness is based on knowledge Vasudeva Sarvamiti Sa Mahatma Sudolabha. A person in Krishna consciousness is the rare good soul who knows perfectly that Vasudeva or Krishna is the root of all manifested causes. As by watering the root of a tree, one automatically distributes water to the leaves and branches, so by acting in Krishna consciousness one can render the highest service to everyone, namely self, family, society, country, humanity, etc. If Krishna is satisfied by one's actions, then everyone will be satisfied. Service in Krishna consciousness is, however, best practiced under the able guidance of a spiritual master who is a bona fide representative of Krishna, who knows the nature of the student and who can guide him to act in Krishna consciousness. As such, to be well versed in Krishna consciousness, one has to act firmly and obey the representative of Krishna, and one should accept the instruction of the bona fide spiritual master as one's mission in life. Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur instructs us in his famous prayers for the spiritual master as follows. Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasado yasya prasadan nagati kutopi dhyayang stuvang ustasya yasastri sandyang vande garo sri charanadavindam. By satisfaction of the spiritual master, the Supreme Personality of God becomes satisfied. And by not satisfying the spiritual master, there is no chance of being promoted to the plane of Krishna consciousness. I should therefore meditate and pray for his mercy 3 times a day, and offer my respectful obeisance unto him, my spiritual master. So Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, he accepted this verse. This inspired him to continue following the order of his spiritual master. And Prabhupada also, he noted this statement by Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, that this is what inspired him to continue. And Prabhupada got this order from his spiritual master to go to the West and preach this message to the English-speaking public. So he was inspired by that. He was resolute in purpose. His aim was one. He just had to follow this instruction of his spiritual master. And for the first year, there was no result. No one came forward. He arrived in 1965. Up until 1966, summer, no one came forward. But then in the summer of 1966, some boys started coming. They started coming, and more started coming, and more. And Prabhupada, he only opened that first temple, 26 2nd Avenue. That was the only temple that he opened. And from there, he would send devotees to Montreal, to San Francisco, and then of course he went to San Francisco, he went to Montreal, and then he opened a temple in Los Angeles and Santa Fe, and he started sending people to other countries. And from the time that he left 26 2nd Avenue, wherever he would go, there would already be devotees there. Without his even visiting, there would be devotees there. See, that's Shakti. Shakti, Shakti? Potency. He's got Shakti. He's got spiritual potency. That he would make devotees, he would send them off, and they would make more devotees. Yeah. So this is Srila Prabhupada. So there's just one more paragraph here. The whole process, however, depends on perfect knowledge of the soul beyond the conception of the body. Not theoretically, but practically. When there is no longer a chance for sense gratification manifested in fruitive activities. One who is not firmly fixed in mind is diverted by various types of fruitive acts. So yeah, we have to learn to be fixed, determined to serve Krishna, to please Krishna. And in this material world, there's so much distraction, especially now with the internet, You know, so much distraction. This is an ocean of distraction. So therefore, it better be safe and just stick to the, we have ISKCON Desire Tree. You know ISKCON Desire Tree? You know ISKCON Desire Tree? So many nice lectures, and there's videos, and there's nice, actually believe it or not, there's two nice movies. If you like to watch movies, there's two movies that are very God conscious about Jesus. Jesus of Nazareth, beautiful. You ever seen? Anybody seen that? Beautiful movie. Jesus of Nazareth. It's very God conscious. The life of Jesus. And Saint Francis of Assisi, called Brother, Sun, Sister, Moon. It's about this great saint, Saint Francis. He was actually a son of a very wealthy man, but he got called on by God, and he gave up all his wealth, gave up his relationship with his father, and accepted the vow of poverty. And to this day, he was here 500 years ago, but to this day there's still the Franciscan monasteries in Franciscan order, and they live very simple lives, very God conscious, vegetarian. The only vegetarian Christians that I know of. So those are the only two God-conscious movies I know. Otherwise, don't watch any other movies. It's all nonsense. Yeah. Because our minds are like little computers. Anything that goes into them, it sticks, and to get it out, it's like so difficult. So better fill our minds with Krishna, devotees of Krishna, where there's no room for Maya. And then we'll live a nice, happy, Krishna conscious life. So any question or a comment by anybody? Yes? Okay. Thank you very much. Yeah.
Another example of forgiveness is
Bhakti Prahlad?
is another good example of forgiveness.
Oh, yeah, Prahlad Maharaj, that's right. Yeah, so the guest here said that another amazing example of forgiveness is Hiranyakasipu tried to kill him in so many ways. Throw him off a cliff, throw him in a pit of snakes, throw him into burning oil. Tried to kill him in so many ways. But Nrsimhadev couldn't, this is just too much, so he came and he killed him. And after he was killed, Nrsimhadev asked, any boon you want, anything? Can you deliver my father? That's another amazing example of forgiveness. Please deliver my father. So, yeah, thank you for mentioning that. Okay, thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki? Yeah.